Great. So I think all of you who have attended this, I'm going to minimize this really quick. My name is Andrew Bermudez. Like I mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Digsy AI. We are a sales tool that helps you accelerate your commercial real estate deals. And software's great, but you know, tactics and things that are proven with data are even better because they work. And those are some of the things that we're going to be showing you today. I am very excited about having our co-host today, Linda Harrison from theBrokerList. How are you, Linda?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm really excited to share some proven tactics that we found in the market to help some of our brokers and friends and their friends more commercial real estate. So I'm going to jump into this. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of what we will be looking at. So main thing is when you're reaching out to people is making sure that you reach them. So if you are leaving voicemail, how to get callbacks from voicemail. Also, how to generate business through the referrals. We're all guilty of this, of not asking for referrals and having a skinny referral network. Also, one thing that many people don't know how to use is actually the broker list. And there's actually very practical ways of using the broker list to generate more deals. We're going to talk about social media. This is something that always comes up across commercial real estate and brokerage, is how do I use it to generate business? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about as well how to use job boards to identify growing companies that you can tackle and pursue to generate larger clients. We're going to feature again how we can use a broker list to generate more listing assignments, and we're going to talk about other creative methods that other people aren't using to generate business in commercial real estate. So with that being said, I'm going to get started. There is a comment and questions box in here, so if you guys have comments, if you guys have questions, any of that, you guys can ask it. There's a little question box. It looks like Stephanie Argery made a comment. David Perlmutter, thank you for being on this, man. Love the fact that I can on here. Linda says hi. Love having you be a Digsy user as well, so hopefully you'll learn some things here that can improve that experience even more. So
Andrew, next time we have to invite some of our pals like David on.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I'll get started here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about getting callbacks from voicemail. So that is an interesting thing. So number one thing that we do is when we tend to call as brokers, we have our target list or we have our database of prospects. That is what actually works, because you can't make a sale unless you call somebody, you get a hold of them, and you get some feedback from them. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing to know is the first rule of voicemail is don't leave voicemail. That is one thing. 80% of voicemails go, 80% of calls go to voicemail, and 90% of them never get returned. That's a lot. So and you spend a lot of time leaving voicemail. So if you had a list of 20 prospects and you only have enough time to leave voicemail for 10 of them, if you leave voicemail for all 10, you don't touch those 20 prospects. The best thing to do is actually don't leave voicemail. And I'm actually going to show you hard data that Digsy AI shows for its clients and how we've been able to find this out. And I'll show you that in a minute. The second rule is look at the response rate. Once you actually start following up, and you actually leave voicemail, it's less than 5%. That means if you make 10 calls, most likely you're not going to get anything on here. So make sure that if you're leaving voicemail, it's somebody who already knows you, that will call you back, etc. If you do leave voicemail, make it short. So data shows that the optimal voicemail is between 8 to 14 seconds. We're all guilty of this. We all try to cram our pitch, etc., but we never think about things of what does our customer want? What do we need? On that call that we're making, what we're trying to find out is there a need? Is there an impending need, something that's coming down around the corner, just so we know whether to focus on that prospect or not. So it's all about asking questions, not saying, hey, I'm the best tenant rep or I'm the best listing broker, here's what I've done, da-da-da-da-da, because you might be just marketing to the wrong person who's never going to sell their building, never going to lease their building. They already have a broker who represents them as a tenant, etc. When you do leave voicemail, it's always great to follow up with an email. And this is a tactic, actually, that I know Dave Perlmutter, who's on here, we were talking about, he uses. and his response rate has been phenomenal, so he can attest to that. But I'm going to show you some data. So for example, when you use Digsy AI, and this isn't a pitch for Digsy AI, I just want to show you the data we collected. The system automatically tracks all your emails, so that way all of your conversations with your prospects and the replies show in real time in the contact record. And when you make phone calls, it enables to do that as well. So if you have a team or if you're on your lonesome, if you've got a premium account, what you will see is you'll see these nice analytics saying, okay, how many calls did you make in a time range, what happened, how many voicemails did you leave, how many emails did you leave, etc. And what you'll find, for example, is this group right here, it says, appointment set by agent. Tim is doing really, really well. What you'll notice is that Tim uses a phone and he leaves very, very, very little voicemail. And look at Wendy is not booking anything really, right? She's booking some, and then you just see that voicemail is really the devil on these things. So one thing that we do that I suggest is going ahead, and I'm going to show my screen really quick, is when you reach out to a prospect, right here I've been able to create Nick Hendren. I can actually quickly import somebody who's emailed me or somebody who has I have in my Google contacts or my Outlook. I can just import them really quick and do that so I don't have any manual data entry. But one thing is, it's really nice to be able to have those email templates to follow up with a voicemail. I'll show you one that works really, really well. So in this instance, I'm going to go to Nick. When I click on Nick, it'll automatically show me all of my conversations with Nick and the last email he sent me. So I can pick up exactly where I left off. This gets synced in real time. And I'm going to call, and Digsy AI allows me to call from my mobile or my desk line, and when this prospect sees me calling, it'll actually show my caller ID. It's pretty cool technology. So I can actually just call Nick, and what's going to happen is I'm going to just let it go to voicemail for now. And it's going to be dialing right now, and I'm just going to hang up so you guys see my screen. Can you guys still see my screen, Linda?
Yes.
Okay. So what you'll see is you'll see that it says call length 11 seconds. It moves them from an inbox, which was a new prospect, to attempted because I've already touched this prospect. It says no answer, and I'll just say I left a voicemail, right? I pull LVM and I'll say, okay, I want to follow up with him tomorrow. And when I do that, I can actually just quickly click his email address, and I can actually write him a new email, or I can just set up a template that every time I leave a voicemail for somebody, it'll automatically send this email. And I'll say, hey, Nick, just left you a voicemail. Well, I know that I want to change this. I'll just put voicemail, just left you a voicemail, and I can modify this template on the fly. Are you around to chat? And I'll send this. And the cool thing when I send it is you can do this through your Outlook, too. We just build it all so it's really, really easy for somebody just to be able to do it very, very fast. Although I use Gmail instead of that. You'll see that on my Gmail, or it shows this. So if you use Outlook, the same thing, and I can just reply back with a happy face again. And any emails I get sent through my Outlook or my cell phone or anything like that are automatically reflected here. So if I refresh this, it should show up the little happy face I sent. So that way, it makes it pretty easy. But if you saw, the template that I sent was very, very simple. All it was, hey, Nick, just left you a voicemail. Are you around to chat? And that is what works. And I changed my subject line to voicemail. So that way they know I left them a voicemail, etc. So that tends to work. We will be distributing a copy of that very short and simple voicemail or email pursuing voicemail so that you guys can see that. But that's the really important thing is what we see is the brokers who are generating the most appointments don't leave voicemail. They leave very, very little, and by little I mean less than 1%. They usually do most of their prospecting. The most successful ones are doing about 40 to 50% of their prospecting on the phone, and they're not leaving voicemail. They are using email about 35 to 40% of the time, and then the balance being meetings and things like that. So let's talk about the next thing, which is how do you use your social media network? How do you generate referrals? How do you do that? Well, the first thing to know is that if you're making cold calls, you should be actually searching for clients in your backyard. 91% of customers say that they would give a referral. So if you've got customers already, that's great. But the problem is less than 11% of salespeople ask for a referral. And this is probably something that we don't get trained a lot in sales. but I hope that this will make it a lot easier for you to be able to execute that. And the other thing too, and it's the very bottom here, is that any prospect that you are introduced to from a mutual friend or somebody they trust are 4 times more likely to buy. Think about all of those referrals you get when you get referred to a broker or you get referred to somebody selling insurance, etc. You already have this tendency that, hey, my friend uses them, so why shouldn't I use them? And if you think about all the referrals you've gotten, it's not because they haven't talked to other brokers. They most likely have talked to other brokers, but you've been referred in, so now you're kind of walking into in a golden bed, or a golden chariot. So it makes it a lot easier. So how do we do this? So I want to go over that really quick. So I want to go over things like, for example, if you have a list of clients, what you can do is LinkedIn is your best friend when it comes to commercial real estate. If you're not using it, believe me, your competition is. So what I can do here is, let's say, for example, I wanted to go and search for Mark Benioff, who's the CEO of Salesforce. Let's say, for example, he can be a customer of my platform. Right? I can click on Mark, and it shows me that I'm not connected to him, but I am a second connection, right? So I can see how many mutual connections I have here, and this is why I add all of my past clients. I add anybody who emails me, anybody who I exchange with. I actually add them on LinkedIn. So Christy McKay, funny enough, she used to be in commercial real estate, and she works at Salesforce, so I can call her. I can also call Mitch, who's a really good friend of mine, to introduce me to Mark. And I can call Leon, I can call all of these individuals here who I know very well, who know my product already or my service. And I can just reach out to them, right? And I can even create a template on Digsy or create a template as an email signature on my Outlook or whatever, and just say something to the effect, pick up the phone and call my mutual connection. Or if we're caught up enough and we're talking so often, I can reach out to them and say, hey, I know that Mark is your friend over at Salesforce. We have this platform that actually collects all the data and makes it easier to push into Salesforce for corporate clients. Would love to talk about maybe ways of partnering up together. Not sure if Mark's the right person, but would love to start with him and that. Can you make an email introduction? By the way, friend, feel free to forward this this email to him. So it makes it really easy to do that. And guess what? That's actually how we sell Digsy here as well. We use our network to do that because it's a lot easier to sell when you refer than anything else. So even if it's a list of tenants, lease expirations, etc., find out how you're connected to them. If that doesn't work, what you can do is you can go to Twitter, right? So I can go to Twitter, and I can go ahead and search for Mark Benioff. And let me just do something here. And what I can do is I can start interacting with him here, develop some rapport, and then reach out to him on LinkedIn and things like that. So it's very beneficial that you start doing that, and that's how you basically use your social media network. And you can do that. Facebook is not really used for business, even though some people do use it for business. I don't have all of my business connections. I do have a lot of them, but not significant enough for me to have like a trusted way. Have it like be a trusted source where I can go and find mutual connections. I like how LinkedIn, I'm able to look up a contact, I'm able to look up the CEO of a company, see how I'm connected to them. If I don't have a close relationship with somebody I'm connected to them with, I can reach out to them, go over my product or service, have a value add proposition on why I want to talk with them, and then do that. And then, if you guys have questions, you guys can always email us at Digsy. Everybody always has a unique scenario where they might not have a good value prop, and we can help you with that as well. So let's go to the next thing. And this is actually how to generate lead referrals from the broker list. So there is, creating your pitch, doing bios in the directory, creating a list of brokers, finding brokers. So I know, for example, a lot of people like Alan Buchanan, for example, who is very, very active on social media, and a lot of people know him. He's actually, I'm formerly from Lee & Associates, and Alan's still at Lee & Associates. He's done a great job, and he interacts in different platforms, and I believe he's gotten referrals for deals off the broker list. Isn't that correct, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pass the presentation role over to you, So that way you can show us how we can use it to connect with other people. So let me go ahead and go here, and let me make you the presenter, Linda, and then you can walk us through this.
You know, you said a couple of things, Andrew. I was taking notes actually from some of the things you said, and some of the things that really resonated with me as how it connects and how a broker could maximize their exposure on the broker list is you made the comment about referrals. And I know you meant referrals from friends or colleagues or clients. But to me, I think that it's also the other funnel is brokers. And yeah. What I'm finding is that there is just so many brokers that realize that they can just step into the broker list once they join and get verified, and they're already in a network. It's there. In other words, it's already built for you. And where they fall down is, and the first thing on your deck was creating the pitch. And where they fall down is they're not telling people enough about what they do or what their expertise is. What happens is a lot of times brokers tend to say, oh, I work at, Lee and Associates, blah, blah, but they're not talking about themselves. And, I know there's, you've got, all kinds of resumes and stuff on LinkedIn, but this is broker to broker. And I think you've got to realize that you're trying to tell the other broker, why should they refer the deal to you? Think of that. Just think about it. Why should they trust you or even consider giving you a client they have, a precious client, as a referral? That's really important. And so I think when you're creating your pitch, don't just think about, okay, I got to look good for potential tenants and I've got to look good for potential people that might, hire me as a broker, but you also have the other brokers that are looking at your profiles, and they are looking, and they are seeking out other brokers. I get calls every single day, people that call me and say, Linda, I'm trying to find a broker in this market. I'm searching some of these profiles. What do you know about this guy or girl? Give me some insight, because they don't put enough information in their pitches. The other thing you mentioned, Alan, and there's several other brokers that are as qualified as Alan in blogging. You've got Bert Polson, you've got Brad Umansky. You've got so many brokers that are realizing blogs are vital. And I think that some people are looking at blogs, oh my God, it's so much work. But the truth is, if they look at the blog and say, you know what, this is going to be a diary of my career. This is going to be me chronicling what I do every day. And I think that's how Alan looks at it, and I know Brad does too, as well as Bert. And I think if you take what you do every day and try to put it to paper, and it doesn't have to be elaborate, it can be very basic. I think blogs do a ton of service to you, credibility, exposure, and you're really nailing down what you do every day and sharing that with people so they know that basically you're legit. I mean, you always hear the joke about, well, I saw it on the internet. I mean, it's kind of funny because everybody believes what they see on the internet. So you got to kind of create that perception of yourself, and I think blogging does that.
One thing that I'm going to add, Linda, is, so for example, if I was to go on the broker list, and I've actually found a broker for an assignment I had as a broker on the broker list when I was in the brokerage. Actually, I had reached out to you, and you had actually confirmed that the person I was looking at was a guy to do, Carnell Scruggs.
Yes. I love Carnell. He's fabulous.
He's great. So one thing is, if you go to the broker list and you find people, the way that you can be interviewing a lot of people, but if they're not blogging or they're not doing different things, that just shows me that they're probably, that just says, okay, well, if I call all these guys, I don't know how great of a broker they are. But if I see somebody, I go to the blog and I see that they're constantly blogging or they're doing this, I can kind of get to know them. Yes. And I can actually reach out to them first if we hit it off, and I interview them really quick. It's great because I can refer them a deal and vice versa. So, and if I want to network with other brokers, guess what? I'm going to network with the brokers out of state that are blogging a lot because they're getting more exposure, which means they're most likely getting more clients that they can refer to me. It's a good way to kind of sift the wheat from the chaff rather than calling all 1,000 people and trying to expose myself. My blogging on the broker list as an agent, can help that other agent quickly identify me as somebody that he may want to use to refer. So that's why it's good to do the blogging and the visibility, just to put in the context of a broker, because we don't have time,
right,
either in sales or in brokerage, to invest the time. But it's if you've got the plan and you understand the mechanics on what actually get you to elevate and actually capture those sales,
yeah,
then you realize the investment.
yeah. Well, what I was going to say to that was that, you know, it's so amazing to me when I get a call, and I get calls every day because what's happening is they're going to the broker list, they're searching a geographic, or they're searching an expertise, and they're coming up short. And they actually call us and say, you know what, I went to this market and I'm trying to find a broker to refer to, and, you know, can you help me? And I'll say, you know what, let me dig into it and I'll call you back. So I go to the broker list. I actually go to the broker list myself and I start searching. And when I come upon people and they're in a certain market that that person wants and they fit the bill and their profile is empty, I just get sick. I go, oh God, what a bummer. This guy is not aggressive. They're not active. I don't want to use the lazy word, but you know, it just doesn't give me warm and fuzzy. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you like it is, and it's the truth. And I'll just go, well, let me check further about the person. So then I start digging. I'll go to Twitter. I'll go to Facebook. I'll go to LinkedIn. Nothing. I'm like so disappointed. It's like, I can't refer that person. They're not active. And the reason I say that, I'm not trying to say that, you know, this is like, how do I say, this is a crucial thing to what we do. We market. We're marketers. Mm-hmm. My attitude is, if you can't sell yourself, and you can't figure out how to market yourself and look good, how are you going to market that person's property? Or how are you going to do the leasing on that building? I mean, if you're a landlord rep, you better know how to market. You better know how to be aggressive. You better know how to put a spin on things. So to me, if someone says to me, Linda, I've got an industrial building in the Inland Empire, I need an industrial broker, blah, 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 and I don't find somebody, I'll be honest, I'll just say, you know what, I hate to say it, the broker list let you down. I can't really refer anyone. And that's the truth. I'm embarrassed. I'm not going to give them somebody with an empty profile. That's my most frustrating thing.
So why don't we go over just a really high level foot of the pitch, the bios, and how to create lists.
Okay.
And then we can move on to the next topic, and then we can show how to use the wants later in the slides.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, basically, when you get into our site and you're looking for somebody, you know, you can search them by name. It could be first name, last name, whatever. If you can't remember somebody, you can find them. But I'm just going to see. Let's see. I'm going to think of somebody here. I'll go Lee. Let's see if he's doing a good job here. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Christian, I hope you're on the phone. If you are, I'm always proud of you. Anyway, you know, some people, you know, really try, and, you know, some don't. Christian does a good job. He keeps his profile full. He lists things he does. He lists his membership. He goes the extra mile. He was featured in a newspaper. You know, he puts a little thing in there in his thing. He's got his Twitter thing on there. You know, he's somebody that's showing you about him. He's showing you his listings. He's showing you if he has any wants. He's showing you what he sold or leased, which is vital. You've got to tell people the deals you're closing. To me, that's what I look for. When somebody calls and says, I'm looking for a broker, and they have no closed deals, guess what? I'm not interested. When I look at their affiliations, are they involved? You know, are they active? Those are things I look for. What other things were you thinking about, Andrew?
Well, I'd like to go over really quick about creating lists. I think that could be a really powerful thing for people to expose themselves.
Okay, one thing I do want to mention, and you mentioned this, when you're in the broker list, this little area here called the mini pitch, that appears in our directory. So if you go to our directory, which is so sad to me when I see all these empty spaces, it's 160 characters. So when if I go to Illinois, for example, and I want to find a broker really fast in the directory, which we do get a lot of traffic from Google on these pages, it's obvious why. If somebody goes into Google and searches for a broker in Google, this comes up for Illinois. Guess what? These people have nothing here. Now, a few people have put some stuff in here. If it's blank, and there's nothing here, I have no interest in that person. If they can't even put 160 characters in, if somebody has words in there, that stands out to me. They've written something. So don't leave your profile empty. Make sure that you put something in. I'm going to go to Christian. Make sure that you put something in your broker list profile so it shows up in the directory. Otherwise, you just come up blank.
Great. All righty.
So, okay, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to jump into lists, but in lieu of time, I'm just going to jump to the next slide, and we can come up to it on the halves.
Okay.
Which is okay. And then let me just jump in there because I want to make sure that we take a look at it, and I think it'll tie in better there. So I'm going to make myself the presenter again.
Okay.
And I'm going to show my screen. So we're going to go into using social media. Okay, so we just talked about the little Twitter thing a little bit ago, and we talked about Facebook. Believe it or not, anybody who's listening, you can actually find people in the market in Twitter, believe it or not. And actually, I've talked to a lot of brokers that have generated that. Facebook's okay, and LinkedIn is great. There's actually data showing out there that a lot of business owners are likely to do business with somebody who interacts with them in a group. So I'm going to go and open up here. I'm going to open up Twitter again. And there's actually, you can do a search here. Now, the hashtag in which a lot of commercial real estate people use is hashtag CRE. And that is anybody who is talking about commercial real estate, because it could be a broker looking for another broker in a different market. For example, here's the guys from BTS posting something. There's NAR. You can do this. However, there is a trick. If you go to search.twitter.com, you can actually go to advanced search. So you click on advanced search, and you can say has all these words, and I can say looking office space, right? And I can even say to restrict to a location. So I can say near, Fullerton, or I can say near Irvine, or whatever. For this example, I am going to just turn off the location on here, and I'm going to say, okay, from this date, I'll say from, let's say, June 1 to, let's say, today. And I'm going to do a quick search. And then you see, okay, do you have extra office space? That's interesting. Are you looking for office space? Da, 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 da. And then usually what you'll do is looking for an office space or a house in market filling. Please retweet for awareness. So let's say if I had something, you'll find people looking for office space near Laguna, things like that. So you can actually find people who are actively looking on Twitter trying to find commercial real estate. And all you have to do, if you have a great profile, make sure your profile's filled out. Make sure that you have, things like what Linda was mentioning. And all you can do is you can send them a direct message, or you can just respond to them here. And you can, a lot of the times when you click into their profiles, you're able to see, okay, do they have a website? I can go, look, I can even email him. I can go ahead and look that. Now, he's not going to be my prospect because he's in India, but that's what the geographic restrictions are for. So you can use that. Another thing, too, is you can actually find people in LinkedIn groups. So if I go here and I try to access my groups, let me see. There we go. I can network with other brokers, and I can do that. There's this group I'm part of, which is on startups, right? And I can actually quickly scroll. Now, the one thing is jumping in and out of here. You definitely need to find people who are looking for something. So, for example, what I just did right now is at the top of the group. So I join all these groups. At the top, there's this search feature, and I just type in space. And look at this. Which is better? Which office space better for cubicles or open plan? I can jump into this conversation with this person, right? I can find anything that has to mention space or office space in this group, and I can do that. And I can engage in the conversation and try to find somebody who I can assist and try to. And because it's on LinkedIn, I can add them on LinkedIn and do that. Now that's a great feature. Now, another thing, too, is you can use Facebook, but I know a lot of people don't use Facebook, so what we'll be doing in this webinar is we'll be skipping that. But to give you an idea of what you can do on Facebook is you can use groups for business owners. You can use business pages, and you can, like, especially if you're in retail, you can actually look up all of the local pages for, let's say, retail tenants. Let's say if they're restaurants, etc., with a review of 3 stars and more, most likely those do well and they need additional locations, so it's a good way for me to reach out to them. So With that being said, I'm going to move to another interesting one, which most people do not use, and that is actually job boards. Why on earth would you search for commercial real estate clients on job boards? Well, if somebody owns a building and they occupy it, if they're an owner-user, and they outgrow it, they will need to lease space nearby, or they may need to sell that building or lease that building and go to a bigger space and rent somewhere else or buy a bigger building. So that's a great signal. The same goes for tenants, right? We usually don't find out, but who's the first one that finds out if a company's growing? The job boards, because it says, hey, I'm hiring people. I'm not going to tell anybody else. I'm going to hire people when I run out of space to do that. So the way that you can do this is you can use things like Indeed.com, you can use Monster, Career Builder, etc. And I'm going to show you a neat trick that you can do. Is you can go to Indeed.com, and it'll ask you, okay, what do you want to find? And I'm going to go to Advanced Job Search. And I can just leave all this stuff blank, and I can say job types that I want to find. I want to find full-time, right? And I want to find employer websites only or job boards. I'm going to do all of them. And I'm going to do a salary estimate of $50K a year and more, simply because that's I feel personally that's a safe salary for a lot of people. And look, you know, I'm going to search in Irvine, and you know, I cover 25 miles from Irvine, so great. Publish anytime. I can leave that blank. How many results? I want to look at 50, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to look at all the jobs. So I see Fidelity Investments, New York Life, etc. Now you see right here on the right-hand side, I can actually enter my email, and I can actually have it email me every day about who is searching, who is actually posting job posts here. Now why I want to do that is because if I keep seeing the same company every day that's posting jobs, most likely they're growing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up their information, I'm going to find who the CEO is on LinkedIn, I'm going to see if I have a connection with them, try to get introduced to them, say, hey, it looks like they're growing, I would love to network with them, and then what I can do is I found out something that a company's growing. A company can grow and their lease expiration might be 3-4 years out, so this just kind of gives you insight, and all you can do is just sit back on autopilot. You just see all the emails coming in every day, and then if you see the same company posting and posting and posting, what you can do is you can reach out to them. Now you know they're growing. It's a really, really neat hack to do that. So I would suggest that you set up those alerts. You can also use Google Alerts. If you haven't ever used Google Alerts, it's really interesting. So I believe you go to alerts.google.com. And what you can do is you can actually create alerts for a specific company or somebody posting jobs and things like that if you're watching, and it'll alert you and send you an email anytime that that person is mentioned anywhere on the internet, either on the news, etc. So it's pretty powerful to be able to track individual people. So use those email updates so you can just put it on autopilot, or you can just go through the live results and see who's posting a lot of job postings, and then you can pursue them. So what I like to do is I like to show you a neat trick. And I'm going to start this off and then turn it over to you, Linda, if that's okay. So in order to get listings, a lot of people, a lot of brokers tend to make the mistake of reaching out and say, do you want to sell your building? No. Okay. Well, usually, do you want to sell your building for the right price? What's the right price, etc. So commercial real estate's a relationship business, right? They're gonna, even if they were selling their building or want to sell their building, why would they give you the business? They don't know you from Adam. There's other brokers that have invested a lot of time with them in the past who have been aggressive and who have not only been aggressive but been pleasurable, or they go out to lunch or that. It's all about a relationship. So you just want to get in the door to put a face with a name. So you want to be able to somehow meet them face to face and start generating that relationship, so they take your phone calls when you call, so that you can go out to lunch, keep in touch, and you can nurture a relationship into business. So when there is an opportunity, but how do you hack that? How do you call a building owner for either a listing for lease or for sale to try to get their attention? Well, you can't. It's not really cool to make up lies and say, hey, you know, I've got a buyer or a tenant, will you consider selling? Because if they say yeah, then what are you going to do? What happened to your buyer? What happened to your tenant? But a neat trick is to go into the broker list, and I can actually go here to what I go to search, and I go to wants. These are commercial real estate requirements, people actively looking for buildings that are for sale. So listing types, I'll go for sale. And serving countries, I can modify that to, let's just say, United States. And let's say I want to do this in California because I am in California, right? And property types, it doesn't matter to me. So what I want to do is I want to go here, and I want to look at anybody who is looking for a space that they're looking to buy, right? So this top one, somebody's looking for big empty box stores nationwide, right? So these are pretty big, 50,000 to 150,000 square feet. You know what I can do is I can actually go, and I can either go into whatever CRM you're using into your database, or in my database, I can search for all my prospects, let's say, within a certain size range that I want. So I'm searching for 50,000 to 100,000 square feet, hit search and find the people there. And then what I can do is I can actually genuinely reach out to these building owners and say, hey, I have somebody looking for a box looking just like yours. Would you consider selling it, or would you consider leasing it? Are you guys growing? You may outgrow the building, etc. And then, you can actually start marketing other people's requirements and try to find a listing, because you're able to kind of play matchmakers between this person who's not finding stuff on the market and then you're trying to get a listing on the other side. And it's very powerful, and it's not only for sale. You can do this on the lease side as well. So actually it works very well on the lease side, because a lot more people lease. So I can find somebody who's looking for listings for lease, and I can modify that really quick here, and I can do the same thing. So for example, once it loads right here, I'm able to find people that are looking for space with 600 amps, and actually that lets me market my listings. And guess what? When you make a call like that to somebody, they're most likely going to pick up your call or be interested in talking to you more. So that's a powerful way that you can be using the once requirements on the broker list. And what I wanted to do, Linda, is talk about the lists. And by lists, I mean there's two interesting things that you have on the platform, which is the ability to send a mass email, I believe, and the other one is actually be able to create lists. So if you can show us that really quick, that'd be great.
Okay, here we go. Basically, just as an example, this happens to be a want, and this particular broker is very good at posting wants. He's very good at it, and he seems to do very well with it. But if he wanted to email that, he could just click on here, email to your broker list. If he wanted to email it to people on the broker list, and he can email it to a list that he created, or he can create a new list. Let me see if I can create a new list real quick here. Okay, so basically all you would be doing is going to the broker's list, okay, and then you'd go to advanced filters, and you'd pick whatever market you are focused on. You can actually send to companies. You can send by city or state or zip. You can send by metro areas, property types, concentration, whatever, and build a list. So if you said you were looking for, as an example, tenant rep brokers. Okay, so if I go to broker, and I only want brokers that said they do tenant rep. So I would pick tenant rep, okay, and then I would say, I'll say a zip code. And then if I just say search, wait a minute, yeah. I'm going to get a handful of brokers. Oh, figures I get two. My point is then I can save that search, and I can say Chicago tenant rep, and that's people that said tenant rep on their profile, and hit save. Once that's done, I can send anything I want to that list. So once that's done, I can just go to anything, or I can just start a new message and basically send it. So if I just want to send this, I would just click on this, and I would just simply say send to my broker list, and it would send this listing to your list of brokers that you just saved. And that's really about it. It's super simple.
That's great.
Once you create your list, and again, I said you could have as many lists as you want. When you go to brokers, you can just create in advanced filters. You can create as many lists as you want based on whatever it is you're doing. You know, if it's a specific place, if it's a specific broker type, and you just go in here and you just build it from this query list here, and then you just say save your search as a broker list. Then here, when I can even just message brokers that I see. If I want to queue up 5 brokers and send them a message, I can message those check brokers. So I can just say I want to see. Let me see. Let's see if I go back to zip code again, or I just go. I'll say just Chicago for the heck of it, and I'll just say search, and then I can say I want to message this guy, you know, whoever you want to message that you see, and I can say message check brokers. Then I can just say new listing, Chicago retail, and put anything you want in this email here, and then hit send. So, you know, basically it's like just an email system. You can message anybody. So, yep. I mean, you know, you can pick people, you can organize people. I have people that organize them by like chapters, like they go into the affiliations and they like belong to a certain chapter. These are all organizations that our members have said, please add my chapter to the broker list. So if I pick any of these lists here, I can just send them to people in that chapter, which a lot of them are doing. That's what a lot of them do. They just send them to people they know or people that they're already affiliated with. Another thing I see them doing is sending them to offices, like they know a certain company. If they put in a certain office in here, they can pick the office they want, and they can message that office.
That's fantastic.
Or whatever.
That's great. So. Thanks for that, Linda.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take over the presenter, and then we go back again, and let's see here. All right, so I'm going to show you one last thing, and it is how to get creative finding tenants. So we've gone over some interesting things. If we are leaving, why not to leave voicemail? When you do leave voicemail, to follow up with an email. We've gone over, you know, using referral networks, how to forge referrals and things like that. We've used LinkedIn, Twitter, different things. There's also different things that you can look at. For example, you can use Q&A, so questions and answer sites. One that's very popular is Reddit, Yahoo Answers, and Quora. Quora is a really good place to find people. So you can actually go to Quora or Yahoo Answers, etc. So if you can see my screen, I can actually find here, and I can type in commercial real estate on Quora, and there's a Q&A site. Or I can do office space, etc. And I can actually find people who are looking for commercial real estate. I'm going to do another search for office space. So I'm going to type in offices. And that doesn't yield that much, but I'm going to type in office space again. And topic, shared offices, leasing office space. There we go. So what do I need to be able to do that? How much does office space cost to Regis? So this person would be prime for me reaching out to them, and if they can afford their own office, lease them their own office. And I can engage, I can add comments, I can upvote, I can go into the actual question itself. So I can do things like that. Also, if you go to Yahoo Answers, and that is answers.yahoo.com.
One thing I was going to say, Andrew, on this kind of stuff is I think what helps is that oftentimes these questions are searched a lot. So I think it's more that you've left a trail on the internet of yourself and who you are, and let it lead back to you. Yeah. I think that's the most important part of these kind of things, because it just you're out there. They can find you easier.
Yeah, so leaving a comment's always great because of that reason. So even if it's something that just contribute, answer questions there and that, and then people will start recognizing you.
Right.
Oh, you know what? Linda just seems to know a lot about brokers. I should call her because I need a broker.
Right.
Like that. So you can actually search for things like this here, like office space, like what's the difference between Class A, Class B, and then you can actually narrow it down by areas as well, by time range, which is really powerful. So I'd like to leave some time for Q&A. One thing is we actually put together a neat book for you guys there, and we'll be distributing this presentation as well. And it's a free book, Generate Sales Leads Without Endless Cold Calling. This is completely free. You can actually claim it at tiny.cc/Digsy AI webinar. If you don't remember that, you can just email us. It's just team@digsy.ai. And the other thing, too, is anybody who's on this webinar here, if you want to try Digsy AI, we will actually give you an extended trial. So we'll give you an extended trial of 30 days for you to use Digsy AI for free. It hooks up to your email calendar and contacts in real time, so you're able to import them from your Outlook, your Gmail contacts or Google contacts. You're able to make phone calls through it. It'll automatically log. We get rid of about 95% of the data entry, and the built-in assistant helps you follow up with people and not miss things all the time. So would love for you guys to take a peek at it and give us some feedback on it, because what we try to do is show you how to do things, and we build software to help you do that with a lot less effort and not having to manually create contacts. In fact, you can take a picture of a business card and it'll create a contact for you automatically, and all of the emails that you've ever sent that person show up, and you're able to just eliminate a lot of the things that we actually don't do because there's so much friction in trying to operate in sales in commercial real estate. So you guys can claim that. You just go to Digsy.ai, sign up on the homepage, and then just send us a message telling it that, hey, Andrew at Digsy said that I could get an extended trial. We'd be happy to do that so that you guys get to play with it. With that being said, Linda, did you want add anything else before we actually jump into questions?
No.
Okay.
Fine.
Great. So does anybody have any questions that we can help answer right now? There's a questions box in which you can type into, or if you're able to unmute yourself, which I'm not sure you can or not, you can try doing it that way as well. Okay, cool. Aaron Lee, can you import contacts from another CRM? Yes. If you're, and I assume you were talking about Digsy AI. The answer is yes. So if you have another CRM, we have a concierge here at Digsy AI who helps you get all that stuff done. If you've got Outlook or Gmail, that information is done automatically, but we can help walk you through it for sure. So if you guys have questions, feel free to email us, team@digsy.ai, and we'll be able to do that. If you have questions for Linda, be happy to connect you with Linda via email as well. She's extremely helpful, so if you need brokers in other areas, or you're looking to how to better utilize the broker list beyond what we've said, Linda, I assume you'd be up for that since you've been so helpful to me.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we have questions more on the technology side. I use Apple Mail. Will those emails? Yes. So it will work with Apple Mail as long as you. So if it isn't, it would be very rare. But it doesn't matter what email system you use. You can be using Apple Mail on your computer or here. The system automatically syncs at an authorization level at the server level. So if you've got iCloud or anything like that, or even if you have Yahoo, or you've got Office 365, or you've got Gmail or Google Apps, it'll work. So and we'll get you set up for that, so you don't have to struggle with the technology. Our team does all of that for you. Alrighty. Any more questions here? Ah, it looks like Danielle. I'm muted, so I can't ask. Okay, so I'm going to find you, Danielle, and I'm going to unmute you. So let me see if I can find you here.
Hi, Danielle.
There she is. So connect to audio. So unmute Danielle. There we go. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, you can hear me now?
I can. Thank you.
Oh, good, good, good. Oh, good, yeah. So for a lot of people that are just learning a lot of the social media and a lot of the programs and the various software, and obviously there's a lot to choose from in commercial real estate, my question was, is there also training videos on both of your sites to assist people in both of your platforms?
We have some on YouTube.
You do?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do, and we do as well. We actually have videos, Danielle, on YouTube. We publish about 2 to 3 videos a week, which go in a lot more detail on like how to use Twitter, how to do this and that, and we publish quite a few blog posts as well. So
No, I'm not talking about using I'm not talking about, I'm talking about your platform. So for instance, if I want to use Digsy, is there like a straight video just to show anybody how to use your platform?
yeah, there is one to
Yeah.
do, and there also we have unlimited training and support, so you actually get a personal one-on-one trainer that you can reach out to anytime.
Yeah, that's
Danielle,
really,
yeah,
yes.
Danielle, usually what I do is when somebody calls me with a question, that's kind of triggers me, oh, okay, I need a video for that, and I'll make a video. I don't have a video for every single thing, but when people call and say something like, a little more complicated, because ours is kind of straightforward, then I will make a video. You'll see when you listen to my videos that I'll say, thanks, Bill, for asking that question. Here's a video.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I find that, they're so busy, and you were mentioning that a lot of people are not putting their full profiles, on
Yeah.
their, and I'm just wondering if a lot of these people just find most of the different software and the website's just like, ah, crap, this is too busy,
Right.
I don't have time, and
Yeah. Well,
so, so we
you know
need
what,
somebody,
Danielle? You're
yeah.
inspiring me, because maybe what I should do is all of my little pet peeves is of what people aren't doing. I should make little videos for them, because you're right. Maybe they don't want to figure it out. To me, it seems so like basic, but I guess maybe they don't want to figure it out.
Right.
So we really need, I'm thinking an all surrounding type business that handles those type of things for commercial real estate people. So there's a whole new business venture out there.
Yeah.
Danielle, let's go for it.
Oh, you're too funny.
Well, I think so many. I don't know. I can't tell who's on this call, but I know I've got a lot of my buddies out there, and I'm so grateful for you to ask these questions, Danielle.
Well, I'm out there in the marketing world every day, and I'm constantly looking for vacant big bucks retail, and I'll ask as many questions as possible. Thank you.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for the question, Danielle.
Thank you.
No, but I'm going to unmute Christina Perez since she mentioned something. Hey, Christina, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
You're very active in the CRE Mastery Facebook group, the one that
Raj.
together, right? Is that you, same Christina Perez?
That is me. You're my friend on Facebook, Andrew. Yeah,
Sure.
I actually didn't have social media. I wasn't that active. I just had like Instagram, Snapchat, and I deleted it once I graduated college. I just thought, too many of my parents' friends on here. And I made the change from commercial insurance to commercial real estate, and I realized you can't do anything basically without being on Facebook. The CRE Mastery is amazing with the Massimo group. I really love their stuff. I'm really excited about the Brokers List. I'm just starting. My first day was May 1st, so trying to just grind away. But Digsy AI, I love it. I was using a residential CRM, and then after the great debates, best CRE CRM debate that the Massimo group held, I signed up for the trial with Digsy, and I just fell in love. It's perfect for me. I love calling from my cell phone. It really works. I love it.
Oh, that's great to hear, Christina.
And they import stuff right away, so I had a list of, I want to say maybe like 5,000 contacts from my insurance world that I brought over, and they did an amazing job bringing those over. And it was a matter of days. I couldn't believe it. And business cards I've sent over, they've done it. So shameless plug, but I love it.
Oh, Christina, thank you so much. I'll connect with you after this. I'd love to hear your story.
Oh, awesome, Andrew. Okay, thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
That was nice. Wow.
Victory.
Okay. We have another question. So Michael Vasquez is asking if there will be a recording. The answer is absolutely. We're actually going to be distributing that. So there's a question right now that says, what other CRE apps or tools or third-party apps or tools might integrate with Digsy? That's a good question. So right now, if you've got Outlook 365, or if you've got Microsoft Exchange, or if you've got Gmail, or even Yahoo Mail, it all integrates directly, so any emails reflected or any contacts are able to sync back and forth automatically, and you're able to make phone calls from that and automatically log those. Things that we're looking into doing is we actually have a Salesforce.com integration coming up in the next few months. For big companies, if they're using Salesforce.com, we usually can do that faster, so that any information in Digsy is reflected on Salesforce.com. We basically automate the data entry so that you get the full reporting if you need that. But aside from that, there might be some other tools that we're looking at in the future, but we'll announce those as we go down the line. And let me see if we have any more questions. It looks like that's it. If nobody has questions, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and edit this video and go ahead and send it to all of you guys, and be able to hand out some materials for all of you. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate your time. I hope that this made it very valuable for all of you, because that's really what we want to do, is help you generate and close more deals using tools that you may not be looking at, and data that's already out there. We're simply just too busy, and sometimes we just need somebody to just share it with us and see it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Tina. Thank you for being a co-host. And we'll see you stuff so we can distribute it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.